Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have my friend Christy Sust and my main man Curious George joining us today. We're going to be diving into the minds and personalities of the three subjects that you see before you. Personally, Curious George is a little shy, so he's not going to have much to say, but he will write in his answers and I'll be filling in those blanks for you guys. Christy's here with us today. Christy, why don't you introduce yourself to the people, let them know a little bit about you, let them know what you do and what you're passionate about.
Yeah, hello, my name is Christy. My background is in theater. That's what I went to school for, so I'm super passionate about storytelling, about all kinds of media with storytelling, but definitely theater. And I am also a worship leader. I've been doing worship or being on worship teams since I was in high school, and that is something I really love, is leading other people in worship. And I just recently moved back to the South Florida area, but I'm originally from St. Louis. So anything with the Cardinals or anything with St. Louis stuff related to St. Louis, I love St. Louis. I love my hometown. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Okay, great. Love that. So I'm curious, how did you get into worship? How did you, I guess, find your talent and love for music and your love for God, whatever you kind of want to share about?
Yeah, so my dad, when I was a kid, was working as a worship pastor ever since I was born up until I was about 12 years old. My dad was a worship pastor, and so that was something that was really modeled for me, was worship leading and using music and using worship as a way to bring people closer to the Lord, but also as a tool for evangelism. My dad is originally from the Czech Republic in Europe, and so that was something that we would go on mission trips that my parents would organize over to Europe. We'd bring choirs, we'd bring like music groups and stuff, and so that's something that my dad really kind of instilled, this like example of using music and the arts as a way of reaching people for the gospel at a pretty early age. So growing up with that, you know, my sister and I both just through genetics kind of was made clear to our parents that we do have some talent in singing and in music. And when we were old enough, we were, you know, kind of grafted into our own worship team that we were a part of at the time, or our church at the time. When I was 12, my dad ended up planning a church with my mom. And so he changed from being a worship pastor to a senior pastor. But when my sister and I both got into high school is when we both started to serve on our worship team. And so that's kind of how that started. And for a long time, I actually didn't really like the fact that music was such a big part of my life. I kind of resented it a little bit because it made me feel like that was the only thing I was good at for a long time. And so when I went to college, I got into my theater program and just kind of fell in love with theater and with stories. And through theater, the Lord kind of brought my heart back to music and back to singing and using that to express worship to the Lord, and kind of helped me to redefine what my definition of worship was. So that's just a little snippet of kind of how all of that went down. But I'm very, very blessed that the Lord has created me the way that he has and given me the gifts that he has, because it's such a joy to give those gifts back to him.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you there. So you did music from a young age. Obviously, your dad is genetic, like you said. I'm sure he taught you a ton of different things on how to become more inclined to music or better at it, how to read music, stuff like that. Do you ever create original content or have any songs of your own online or even covers online?
Funny enough, I have been recently posting on TikTok a little bit.
Yeah.
I like the duet feature on TikTok. It's kind of a nice way to collaborate with people. I just started on there though, so it's not like I have a ton of TikToks on there.
What's your TikTok? What's your TikTok handle?
Huh?
Yeah, plug your TikTok handle, please.
Sure. I think, gosh, what is it? Let me look it up really quick, but yeah, I've been posting on there. I do also have a YouTube channel. I don't really post on there recently. I haven't. Oh, shoot, sorry.
No, you're fine. So you have a YouTube channel as well. Yeah, we definitely want to plug that. so people can actually hear some of your vocals?
My TikTok handle is It's Shust, spelled incorrectly because no one ever knows how to pronounce my last name. So my TikTok handle is at ITSSHOOST. On YouTube, it's just Christy Sust, Sust spelled correctly, so SUST. But yeah, I mean, when I am inspired, I do like to post things, music related or singing related. There's also a few videos of me leading worship on my dad's YouTube. His name is Michael Sust. So there's some stuff out there if you're really interested, but I don't always get super inspired to put stuff out there. So maybe that's something I need to work on, but
yeah, definitely hear you. Finding inspiration is really challenging. Sometimes it comes from, the most uninspiring places, though. So
yeah, it can be.
Yeah, so you got into theater in college, and I'm sure you've done a lot of acting since then, or at least some shows in college. And now that you've graduated and you're back in Florida, what does that theater scene look like for you? How do you get involved? And let's say if somebody here in South Florida were to be like, I have no experience I don't have the degree, but I'm passionate, I think I have talent, I want to try my luck at, auditions. Where does someone start? What rock do they lift up to see the audition opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I would start if this hypothetical person had no experience at all, I would definitely start with the community theaters. And there's a few good ones. There's the Delray Beach Playhouse, which is right in the heart of Delray Beach. That's a community theater. So a definition of community theater as opposed to like a professional theater is just that the actors and a lot of the people who work in like the backstage area production, tech side, might just be volunteers. So they're not necessarily paid for the work that they're doing. And it's just people who kind of do it because of the love of theater. So those are a really great way to get started because it gives you a really good way to get a lot of practice in. A lot of times those theaters will also have different like classes available, things like that, because it's kind of serving the community and kind of making theater available for the community. So Delray Beach Playhouse is a really good one. Lake Worth Playhouse has a really great reputation for some quality, good shows. If you are in middle school or high school, I also really recommend the dance company, Many But One. They are a dance company primarily, but they also have a musical theater program, and they put on some really fantastic shows. So if that is like, if you're homeschooled or if you don't really vibe with the theater program at your high school or your middle school or whatever, that is a really great way to get some experience in theater is through Many But One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that because I know of a couple. My background is heavily in exercise, health, and fitness. So I know of a couple organizations that they bring the PE elements, the physical education elements, to the homeschool, the foster communities, even the international communities. But I like how there's the equivalent of that for theater and dance and music. And it's the same, it reaches both audience. Like I find that most people fall into one of two camps. They're either really athletic and into sports, or they're really creative and they're into the arts. Sometimes they're both, and that's a really awesome thing too. Not trying to say that it has to be one or the other, or that it has to be either. Sometimes it's neither, and maybe you're a STEM person or nothing at all. Doesn't matter, God still loves you. The point is that I like how there's an opportunity for people who are homeschooled and in the foster program to get access to the things that they love and to grow in those things that God has gifted them. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But you've got some experience in music though, right?
I do. I have experience in music just as my passion. My dad's side of the family, they're like all like little musically inclined. They never really do anything except they'll pull out like a little 4-string guitar, which it's my family's Hispanic. It's called a cuatro. And they'll pull it out and just start playing. And I saw my grandmother play that for the first time, like during COVID, and I thought it was like such a super experience to see, like, wow, my grandmother has skills on the strings. Like I didn't expect that. And I've seen my dad obviously, but it's nothing like major. For me, I'm the one who kind of decided, like, I really love music. I really wanted to make music a thing for me when I was younger. I've auditioned for dozens of bands. I've been in several bands. I've been in bands with people who have gone on to have their own bands and have those bands be featured in Journey's music videos, the Shoe Store, to play Warped Tour, to just tour with some really good, successful, record labels and stuff like that. And I'm still going at it. In fact, this morning I was on Bandmix and I sent out like 5 text messages to people who are like looking for a vocalist. If you don't know about Bandmix, I highly recommend it. It's like one of the leading find musicians, find bands websites out there. There's a lot of other good ones like Vampar and a couple other ones that I don't really recall. But Bandmix has been around longer, so their audience base is a little larger, so they have more people that you can communicate with, several people in every area. So I have my account there, and it helps to just meet people and always plug myself. I've gotten a lot of auditions from Bandmix. Another great resource to find musicians is to go into your local guitar center, the bulletin boards. I know it's a little bit brick and mortar, maybe that's not as common, but not a lot of people know about this. Guitar Center actually has a bulletin board by the back somewhere where all the local artists just go and they hang up a little flyer of whatever they're looking for, need, or want to share musically in terms of music. But yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard of Bandmix, so I'll have to definitely check them out. That's really cool.
Yeah, Bandmix is great. I've met a lot of people there. Just got to be careful. So yeah, I do music. I'm actually working on a couple songs right now, and it's just been something that I've always loved singing since I was a young kid as well, just like you, I guess. And, that evolved into playing guitar. So currently, is your family in the St. Louis area? Is that where the church plant is?
Well, so our church actually had to close down back last summer. I was working there for about 3 years in the worship department. And there was a lot of reasons why it closed, but it was a good thing that it closed down. It was definitely something that the Lord kind of led the elders and the leaders to make that decision. And so it actually kind of forced a transition for both me and my parents. And I kind of felt like maybe the Lord was wanting me to get back into theater. So it was a little bit easier for me to figure out where the Lord might want me to go, which was back to South Florida, because I went to Palm Beach Atlantic University for school and for studying theater. And so for me, it was kind of a natural decision that maybe I should head back to Palm Beach County and connect with my friends who still live here who did theater. I kind of knew more about like the theater scene down here. So my parents also ended up moving down here about a month after I did. Well, I say down here, they actually moved to Port St. Lucie, so a little bit farther north. Okay. But they're in the area. And my sister also went to PBA, and she actually met her husband at PBA and has been down in South Florida ever since. So she was already here. And so it kind of just made the decision a little bit easier. And I felt a lot of peace from the Lord about coming down here, and it's been pretty interesting what the Lord has been doing. It'll be kind of cool to see where he continues to lead me, but it does feel like he has me here for a purpose, so I'm excited to see how that all plays out.
I think that's amazing that your whole family got brought together here. How certain things bring people closer together. Sometimes they're hard things that they bring people closer together, and closing down of your father's church, I'm sure, is not an easy thing to take, especially for your parents. But now, like, your opportunity to just be here in South Florida, where there's so much opportunity everywhere. South Florida is abounding with opportunity all the time. Yeah. And, with you and your sister here, and now your mom and dad too, I think that's really cool. That's awesome. So you work currently as a teacher, correct? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about a little bit about that. How did you get into teaching? What is your experiences? What grade and subject matter do you teach? And what are some challenges perhaps that you want to share for people who want to get into it or want to get out of it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't have an education degree. I just have my degree in theater, and then I also minored in English. And so I came down to South Florida back in October, November without a job. And so was searching for a job for a few months, and found a job, but was pretty miserable in it, doing customer service. And so I was just praying to the Lord, like, just lead me somewhere else, because I was just looking for another job, and I really needed something different, because it was not a great place for me to be at. And the Lord just kind of opened this door at this Christian school up in Palm Beach Gardens. It's called Trinity Christian School. And there was a situation with their middle school English teacher that she was just struggling with her health, and she felt like she needed to step down as the teacher. And so the Lord just kind of made a way for me to step into that role. And I've never taught in the classroom before. I've only ever taught workshops, or I had some experience teaching theater for like a summer camp before. And I had a little bit of experience kind of teaching my own curriculum. So there was some of that there, but I'd never actually really been like a real teacher before. So I was there for this past fourth quarter of this past school year, and it was definitely a huge learning experience for me. Just kind of figuring out how to manage in the classroom, how to connect with the kids. So I teach all three grades of middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Wow. And even just in those last couple of months of getting to know some of the students, getting to know what are the best ways to teach them these things, especially the ones who don't really like English, which I'm not offended by. That's totally fine. We all have some subjects we like and some we don't. But just to make it engaging for them and all that, I'm very much a proponent of non-traditional methods. So it's very easy to fall into a habit of just lecturing and just trying to like throw information at kids and hope that it sticks. But and I fall into that temptation all the time too. I was like figuring that out. But really the way to get kids to absorb the information you're learning is to give them all kinds of different ways to engage with it. Some kids need the lecture because they're auditory learners. Other kids need a slideshow because they're visual learners. Some kids, like me, need an activity, like a hands-on activity, in order to really grasp the concept. And so, it's all just a learning experience for sure, but I'm really excited. I'm teaching English next year as well, but then I'm also going to be teaching a drama elective, and that's going to be so much fun because I have so many ideas for how to kind of impart my passion to these kids for storytelling. I think it's going to be really great.
That sounds super fun. So let me ask you, is the high school connected to the middle school? Is it the same organization?
There is no high school, actually. It stops at middle school. So there's a preschool, and then there's elementary school, and then there's just middle school, and then that's it. So when the kids graduate from middle school, they typically go to another Christian high school close by. Jupiter Christian School is a big one. A lot of them go to. Some of them go to King's. Some of them go to, I think it's called Atlantic Christian School or something like that. So they typically just go on to a different school, or maybe even public school. It's up to their parents. But we stop at 8th grade. Interesting.
I wish I had the opportunity to take a drama elective in my middle school. I don't really remember if they had that. I'm trying to recall what electives we did have. We had like band and orchestra, and that was like the string instruments, and I think maybe chorus. I don't really recall chorus, but definitely band. That was a popular one. That was like really it though. I switched out of band and I went to PE or something, and that's like common. It's the public school system's tough. Especially here in South Florida, we're not known as the best state in terms of our education. But I definitely learned a lot about how to interact with people and how to connect with others. And that started a passion with me in terms of my charismatic studies and my ecclesiastical studies. And that's why I do what I do now at Consultation X with the coaches and helping the professional life coaches to just communicate with their clients, skills that they could use to connect better with others. I'm a very connection-based person. There's other people who are like very decision-based or detail-based. I'm very people-based, and that works well for building groups of people together. And that's what, I think is essential to be a good leader in a company, is being able to put people together. Now, you do need those decision-based people and those detail-based people, because those are the people that are going to drive it forward. And so it's all about trusting each other and working together as a team. So that's great. I'm excited for you. How long have you been in South Florida? Remind me one more time.
I just moved back down here end of October. So it's been more than 6 months, but coming on to a year, so
Nice.
it's good for me to be back down here. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
So many people made that transition in COVID. You know, it's kind of crazy. You would
Yeah.
think like nobody's gonna move out of their house, but I've heard more people moving during COVID than ever before. I guess it's just the need.
Yeah.
It's a innate need. Like there is nothing going on. I need to go and make something happen. So people moved, and that's kind of great. I know I moved. I moved to Miami and back to Broward during that time, and actually from Palm Beach to Miami and then Broward. So I'm all over South Florida. You can catch me on the streets in South Florida.
Yes.
So yeah, that's amazing. I'm really excited for you and your family down here on their transition as well, because they moved down, and it's been great getting to know you and see you at our church and just being able to connect and see how you quickly connect with other people. Even though that one time at the grill, I thought you were saying hi to me and you weren't. That was very embarrassing. I know you know.
You were joking.
No, I was so embarrassed.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were joking. I really I did not know that you were serious. Like, oh yeah, hey.
I sat back down real quick, and the person sitting next to me was like,
you back because I was being sarcastic. I'm so sorry.
"Oh, you did that on purpose."
Oh my god.
I thought that was just who you were. That was actually a premeditated rudeness because you were playing off of my sarcasm that never existed.
I told
You know what?
you were messing with me, so I was like, "Oh, let me mess with him back."
This stuff happens to me all the time, unfortunately. It happens to me all the time. I feel like a lot of people do this now. I'm glad you're shedding light to their thinking, because now I feel a lot better.
Okay.
I thought I had a lot of enemies. Now maybe they're just awkward friends. Or maybe I'm awkward. Who knows? I am kind of awkward. That's why I like to do these kind of things. It's fun, right?
Everybody's awkward.
Yeah.
You know? It's all about what you do with the awkwardness, I think.
Yeah, making it your superpower.
Some people don't know how to handle awkwardness. Like, you know.
So you mentioned earlier that you're really into the niche finding of like what Christian content is actually entertaining, because you find a lot of it not to be so. What recommendations do you have for movies, TV shows, and music?
Oh boy. Okay, so well, first of all, the TV show that a lot of people are talking about, and a lot of people,
I already know what you're gonna say. It's The Chosen.
Yeah, it is The Chosen. It's so funny. The church that my church back in St. Louis was a church plant of another bigger church in Chicago called Harvest Bible Chapel, and in Chicago. And Dallas Jenkins, who is the director of and creator of The Chosen, was working at Harvest Bible Chapel like all throughout when I was a kid, and we would, you know, occasionally go on trips to like different conferences at Harvest Bible Chapel and things like that. And so when he was still working at Harvest, and actually when he was working at Harvest was when he created the pilot for The Chosen, which is the shepherd. It was like a short video that he made, or short film that he made for one of their Christmas services. That's all about one of the shepherds, and from their perspective, like seeing Jesus, meeting him as like a baby. It was a really powerful short film. But while he was working there, I went to a young adults conference there, and one of the workshops that was offered was a workshop with him about why Christian media is not good. And so of course I went, and he made some really great points there, and that I think are totally valid. One of them is that a lot of times, you know, filmmakers or writers of scripts, things like that, they'll try to put Jesus into this story that doesn't really mesh with the gospel story. It's sort of like, I don't know, it's sort of like forcing the gospel into this story that otherwise, if it didn't have the gospel, it would still be a normal story. Whereas something like The Chosen, it's a story about Jesus. You kind of can't have the story without Jesus being in it. So it kind of is a little bit more natural, and it kind of makes a little bit more sense to draw people in a redemptive way. Another really good film that just comes to my mind is Ben-Hur, which is a story about, it was a classic movie. I think it was also based off of a book. Back in like, I don't know, the 50s or 60s, this movie was originally made. And it's all about this soldier who essentially, like, his life ends up being sort of intertwined with Jesus's. He sort of meets Jesus in these random places. I'm pretty sure he's a Roman soldier, and he sort of meets Jesus in these places along Jesus's life, but it's not really about Jesus, but Jesus ends up being a character in it all the way up until Jesus's crucifixion at the end. And it's just a really like interesting and really good story that kind of makes people think, and this guy is being confronted with, who is this Jesus guy and is he for real? And there was a remake of that movie, gosh, like in the last 10 years, I'm not sure when exactly, but definitely in the last 10 years. And I mean, this movie had me weeping, not necessarily because of the movie itself, but just the storytelling and kind of how you can really make a story redemptive and make people really question and think about things. And it doesn't have to be a whole gospel presentation. The Lord can kind of use things in a more subtle way just to make you question and wonder, why is this movie hitting me differently? Why is The Chosen hitting me differently? Like, I thought it was just going to be a historical TV show about Jesus's life. Like, why am I feeling like this relates to me? Like, I think that should be the ultimate goal of any Christian media. I mean, you can definitely have the gospel be presented and be bold with it. I don't think that's wrong at all. In fact, that's a great thing. But if it makes people leave feeling more like they've had something being shoved at them in a really unnatural, forced way, then it's going to be harder for people to really want to respond to the message. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's just a little bit, I don't want to go on a whole rant or a tangent, but
no, really appreciate that. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's something that we can think about as creative people who are Christians, you know, and how we present the gospel to non-believers in a way that's doesn't feel forced or unnatural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was always my thing with contemporary Christian music. I know I was telling you earlier, I had a music background. I was super passionate about music before getting to know Christ. Christ became the new focal point of my life and the main overarching story, but then the music couldn't keep up with what the music was like before. So I had a hard time balancing that out, and I was like, when will the music be redeemed to being the level of the love I have for Christ and still the enjoyment of how good the music was in the past? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I had to really search like the music underground to find certain artists like John Mark McMillan and you know, Rivers and Robots and certain bands that I'm like, okay, this is still worship music. I can tell it's about God, but the music is well made. It took time. It took thought. It's not just for singing in the choir in front of the congregation. It's for playing in your car while you're alone and connecting emotionally. I think that's important. Well, we're almost out of time. So if you want to plug again your TikTok or YouTube, you definitely can. But we're gonna wrap up and say goodbye to the folks. Curious George, do you have anything? Yeah, I know. Exactly. I agree. Do you think? We'll ask. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You don't want to tell me what he asked? What he's saying?
He wants to know if you've met anybody special since being down here in South Florida. But I was gonna ask privately, but you know, he was like, just go ahead for it.
What do
you wanted to know? I was gonna let it go.
Okay. I don't know what you mean by special. Probably anybody I meet, if I vibe with them, then cool. They're pretty special to me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Well, I feel a little bit silly being a 26-year-old plugging my TikTok, but I guess I will. But my TikTok it's Shoost at ITSSHOOST. That is not how you actually pronounce or spell my last name, but it's how you pronounce it. So we're learning here. We're all learning. And my YouTube is Christy Sust, CHRISTYSUST. That's how you can find me on there. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, my Instagram also is Shust Christy. So
cool.
Pretty easy to find me. I'm really one of the only Shusts in the world. It's not a common name at all. So it's not hard to find me.
All right, great. Thanks for being here today. That's all the time we have. Follow, like, subscribe, check us out on consultationx.com. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.